Hey guys.
Hey, I'm Keisha.
I'm Laurie.
And we're
the Gospel Twins. So welcome back to another episode of Christians Say What? Today we're going to be talking about being single and ready to mingle? Question marks.
Who knows? Yes, so we have about 4 things that we feel like as a single person we should kind of have in motion to get ready for when that time comes. When you know that man or that woman comes into your life, you know, you can have yourself 100% ready to go. So
the first thing that we really feel that needs to be in order, if you're really mingling or you're ready to, you know, kind of get out there and you're praying that God's going to send you that special person, you have to have your self-care in order. So what we mean by self-care is like hitting the gym. You know what I mean? Like get your body, get the temple right.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Solomon's temple, you better build it up good. You know what I'm saying?
And at the end of the day, like, it's nothing to be in healthy and in shape. You know, like at the end of the day, love yourself however you love yourself. But it's at the end of the day, you can take care of yourself and get exercise in. Because when you look and feel better, then that portrays through. You know, you kind of build more of that self-worth and self-confidence.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you can also still be thick with it. We're not saying you got to be skinny and twiggy. But, you know, it's good to get healthy, get your body right, and in turn get your mind right. You know what I mean? Like, because let's be real, like insecurities are real and they happen and they can happen when we're not at our best and when we don't feel our best. The devil can easily get into our ear hole and start calling us like certain names and making us feel unworthy. So by getting our temple right and taking care of our temple, not just by going to the gym, but by, you know what I mean, like connecting with your mind and God and saying, God, like, help me to strengthen my mind and know that I am worthy, I am chosen, I am, you know, beautifully and wonderfully made based on your word in the Bible, and holding yourself like accountable to being a daughter or a son of God. So that's really what we mean by the self-care aspect. You know what I mean?
And like more on the physical aspect, like when you put a little makeup on or when you get your hair cut or your nails done, these are all things that visibly right away you feel better. You know what I mean? Girls getting your lashes did.
And guys, like you get your beard or you get your hair shaped up.
Lined up nice.
Yeah.
It makes you feel nice on the outward, you know? And at the end of the day, like the first thing we see when we meet the opposite sex is their physical appearance. So if you see somebody who's working out, if you see somebody who's in shape, or you see a girl, she has her nails done and ting, you know, it shows that they upkeep with themselves.
Exactly.
And they are more inclined to take care of themselves and things like that. So I feel like that's something that does attract people, like keeping your teeth clean, brushing your teeth, making sure you shower.
Yeah, you don't have no hot breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can't be coming to church or come and talk to a girl and your breath be hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to start questioning things. You know what I mean? So you have to start rebuking.
So it's definitely one of those things, like, the physical appearance is what people first see. And unfortunately, they may kind of judge you on your appearance to an extent of, like, we notice those things, like when he smells his teeth clean, like the breath is a huge one, you know what I'm saying? Because right then and there, it's like, why? You know?
It really makes you wonder what's going on, you know what I'm saying? And like sometimes there's days where you're fasting and you know your breath is hot, you know what I mean? Because you're fasting, you ain't eating nothing, you're not drinking nothing, but you have to be on point at that point, you know what I'm saying? Like have a Listerine or whatever, do what you gotta do, like, especially if you're trying to connect with God, you know, you die to the flesh, but our point is like just being on point. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, the self-care is important. At the end of the day, God has made all of us in his likeness, his image, and he knows that we're going to look at each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows that that's really what we see first. We think about David and Bathsheba. Not the perfect example because of how they met, but initially he saw her and was like, yo, I need that girl. You know what I mean? So, or Ruth and Boaz, same situation. So it's one of those things where like we do happen to look and see, and then that's where the attraction comes, and hopefully the godliness and the marriage comes after, right? And
with the self-care, it definitely builds your confidence and kind of builds that like feeling of like, yo, I look good, so you feel good, you know? And it's all about like what you're putting out there, you know? When you walk with confidence because you know you just, you know, got your hair done or whatever, it makes you feel nice, and that shows. And it's almost like an internal way of like building yourself up, you know, so that you feel confident when you meet somebody, that you can smile with them, or that you know what I mean, can interact with them without feeling like, yo, I should have like my lashes on today, or yo, I should have, you know, did this. You kind of already are in that momentum where it's like every day, and again, you don't have to wear makeup every day, you don't have to do the most, but as long as you feel confident in the way that you're going out there, that will portray when you are meeting people
exactly
and interacting with people, and it boosts your confidence, and it makes you feel like good about yourself, you know.
Like sometimes guys, like a lot of the guys in the financial district, stuff like that, like they love wearing their suits, and once they put on a suit, like, you know, they're feeling crisp, so
fresh.
exactly, you know what I mean. So for girls and guys, there's always going to be those things that you do to really upkeep yourself and making sure that you're feeling good. So I think it's like what Keisha's saying, like if you're looking good, you're feeling good, it portrays, you know what I mean? And confidence is the best way, not being prideful and boasting, but confidence in yourself and who you are and who God made you to be is the best way to cancel out all those insecurities and all those kind of negative thoughts.
And speaking of insecurities, like with the self-care, like Laurie mentioned earlier, it also has to do with your mind.
Yeah.
So get to reflecting and get to like looking at yourself and what about me can I change? You know what I mean? Like if I'm insecure in a certain area, like how can I work on this area to
If
make
you know
myself...
you have anger,
yeah,
and you know you every time you get road rage, or you know what I mean, is you're easy to get set off. That's something that you now have to work on before you really and truly try and get into the dating life. You know what I mean? Like you really need to make sure you are looking and reflecting inside at what you need to change with yourself. You know what I mean?
because the minute you pick the girl up to go on a date, and then tutus, if you get cut off, you're ready to chase down the man. She's gonna be frightened. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to scare the girl off on the first date, and you haven't even hit the restaurant because your road rage took over the whole car ride.
Or you're pinched with it. You know what I'm saying? Like your finances aren't in order, whatever the case is, and you take her on a date and you want to split the bills, or you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to find ways not to spend. Girls will pick up on that. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to hit out the guys and let them know, those listening, like girls pick up on these things. You got to do better. You know what I'm saying? If you're really looking for a wifey, and don't be afraid to come out of pocket a little bit, you know? But that actually goes into our next point, financial care. So guys, girls, everybody, you got to have your finances in order. If you're ready to get into the dating life and you're asking God to find you a wifey, asking God to find you a husband, a boo, whatever it is, you have to really and truly have your finances in order.
And we're not saying you have to be debt free. You know what I mean? Because people got student loans out here. But as long as you're making your OSAP payments.
That's true. Student loans
you know
are
what
real.
I'm saying? Like you're keeping those monthly payments, those minimum payments in check. You are on your way to financial freedom. You know? But at the end of the day, like have a little savings. Like start to create a budget. Like put things in order again for you to be stable for when that person comes along.
Exactly. You can't be out here just spending frivolously and you have like 7 credit cards. All of them are maxed out. You don't know what you're doing with anything. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where it has to be in order, because how are you going to run a household? How are you going to deal with the things of life when it comes into marriage if you can't deal with your own bank, your own finances, your bank account, you know?
And again, the budget is a great way to kind of help with your finances, because everybody's situation is different, especially now in COVID. Like we can't even talk about finances, but at the same time, like whatever you have, whatever amount you're working with, if you're able to now maneuver it and okay, I have $200, 50 will go to groceries this week, the other 50 maybe gas or whatever. You know, you kind of work it out where it can go on. Because say for example you were married and COVID hit, and now your income's cut in half. You need to have the mindset to be like, okay, like how are we going to calculate the finances? How are we going to make sure, okay, this bill comes out on the 15th, so we'll do that one now. And then when I get paid or whatever income comes in, we'll put it towards the rent at the end of the month. Like a man or a woman will look at you and be like, yo, this girl knows how to live lavishly, but she also knows how to live on a budget, you know? Because at the end of the day, there's ups and down seasons in everybody's life, single or married. But if we can kind of work on that now and strengthen ourselves now to that, if we need to go on a budget, we know how to, okay, self-control, like, not gonna get my nails done this week because that $50 can go to, you know what I mean, groceries or things like that. Like being able to be flexible.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And with all these categories we talk about, with the self-care, with the financial care, like God is in the midst of all of them. So making sure that you're being a good steward towards the money that God has blessed you with, and ensuring that you're doing your tithes, you're doing your offerings, you're seeding into the church, you're seeding into the lives of other. At the end of the day, that's the way that you're going to be able to control your finances through Christ, is give it up to him. You know what I mean? So making sure that you're saying, God, like, you know what's in my account, you know what bills I got to pay, you know what's going on. I'm trusting you. Lead me to do what you want me to do with the money that you've given me.
Exactly. But I'll still honor you by giving my 10%.
Exactly.
And as though it seems hard, and again, like if your finances were cut, it definitely seems like now you want me to still give 10% to God. Yeah, because at the end of the day, he gave you the 100%. Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's better to have 90% and give him the 10 versus have 100% and then 2 twos. You can't hold it because you now are being kind of stingy and greedy with it. You know, and like at the end of the day, God will honor you for doing that. and for keeping him first in your life. Even like, for example, like I always think about the homeless people, even just giving a $2. I know some people are skeptical towards that, but when you are a giver, even with the little that you have, God will recognize that, and he can bless you for that. You know, so it's just about just putting yourself in that mindset of like, yes, I only have a little bit, but at the same time, whatever you need me to do with it, Lord.
Exactly. And just ensuring that God is the one who's leading you to give it and to do this and to go there.
Exactly.
So basically just following God in everything that you do.
Yes.
So that brings us to the next point, home care. Home care as in taking care of your household. Wherever you're staying, if you're renting a place, if you're in a condo, if you're in a suite, if you're in an apartment, if you're in a house, whatever it is, wherever you're at, if you're renting just a room, you know what I mean, a dorm room, whatever, ensuring that you're taking care of your household.
And what does that look like? Making your bed, you know, being able to do dishes.
I mean, making the bed still a bit of a stretch, you know what I'm saying? Like
if it's just you, nobody's seeing it. But again, like, this is the single, are you ready to mingle?
Exactly. So you're working your way up to those
if
things.
you're not doing it now, we ain't doing all of that right now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I can't say my bed is made.
Our way up to it, you know what I'm saying?
But exactly, if I'm
want
trying
a clean man, I can't have unclean things. You know what I'm saying? Unclean and clean don't mesh. You know what I'm saying? Old wine and new wine don't mesh. So
it's a true story.
I got to get my life right too. But in the meantime, you know what I mean? We try and make sure our bed's good to go, right?
Exactly. Learning how to cook, like, I'm not gonna front, like, I know how to make a 1-2 dish, but
she can survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Like, but the point is, like, if I have a man now, we can't just be surviving every night on noodles and things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
noodles and hot dogs.
Yeah, like, I need to be able to step up my life. You know what I mean? Like, so learning how to cook, like, if you're somebody who doesn't like to clean, like, get into the habit of cleaning. Yes, you don't want to scrub toilets and whatever, but you want to sit on a clean toilet?
Exactly.
Or not. You know what I mean?
Just taking care of those things and making an effort to make the house look a little bit better that you're staying at. You don't want to be the one who lives in a pigsty and people know you for having a dirty house. You know what I mean? Like, you really want to have a clean house. You know, if you have kids, make sure the kids them are in order with it too. You know, like, let's be real. We know that we live in a day and age where a lot of people are getting married and they have kids or whatever the case is, and then they become like a mixed family, blended family. So you got to make sure your family's on point so that if somebody comes into your household and you're trying to bring them home to meet the kids, they're not going to say, yo, like, this place is crazy, I'm not going to stay, you know? So making sure that your life's in order and your kids' life's in order within the household for whoever's the head of the household at that season until you meet whoever, you know what I mean?
And like, at the end of the day, whoever you meet, hopefully, God willing, you can like build with them. And like, if you're a better cook and they like to clean more, like, you might make it work where that person cleans more and you cook more. But worst comes to worst, like, if he's gone for a week business trip, like, you can't just have the house looking madness. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta show that you can hold down the house and vice versa. If your girl's gone on a trip for whatever business she's doing, you gotta make sure, and you're with the kids, you gotta make sure you can take care of the kids and comb their hair top, and you know what I'm saying, like, have them go to school looking presentable, right? So it's one of those things where it takes two, and that's why it's building, like, single, ready to mingle, but you gotta get yourself in order before you officially jump into the deep end, you know?
Exactly.
So with that being said, the last and most important point of the night is spiritual care. So that's that care that you're going to have with you and God, ensuring that you're making time for him, ensuring that you're putting aside those times to connect and hear from him. You know what I mean? You won't be able to know who your Boaz is or your Ruth is until you're able to connect with God.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you want to be spirit-led in everything you do. So by having your spirit right, by having your heart right, you know, connecting with God, saying, Lord, help me to be a better person, and not just a better person for selfish gain or whatever. Like, what do you want me to do? What are your standards in life for me? You know what I mean? Like, is it to live, like, you know, humbly? Is it to live kind, be generous? Like, what are your standards that you want for my life so that I can embody those? Because whoever he brings to you is going to mesh with you and blend with you, you know? So if you're a generous heart, the husband or wife you might bring will be also on a generous heart too. So that way, if you're spending money or giving donations to charities or whatever, he's not gonna look at you like, yo, why are you spending all the money? You know, he'll recognize that, you wanna know what, like, I admire that about you, that you're generous. But we can't get to that state unless we acknowledge and do that reflection to say, like, Lord, uproot in my heart what needs to go. Am I greedy? Have I been greedy? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I stingy? Because if that's something, because you won't know if you're by yourself, especially, like, you just think, okay, I'm just trying to be wise with my money, but to the outside world, you might come across like pinch. So it's one of those things where you have to do the self-reflection, and God is so amazing at showing you what you can improve on.
Exactly.
Because he's not saying, yo, you're stingy and like trying to make you feel bad. He's trying to uproot you and give you that generous heart, you know?
Exactly. So ensuring that you're making that time with God so that he can teach you what you need to learn, teach you how to be a good husband or be a good wife, and show you what areas in your life that you need to uproot, like the anger or whatever it is that, like the insecurities is a huge one that could be holding you back from opening up your heart to love. Whatever it is that is affecting you, good or bad, God will help guide you in that aspect. So with that being said, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but pretty much those are the 4 points that we think are so important to incorporate in your single life, in your single walk, in your single season, which is honestly a good season to be in. If you're there, that's a good thing because God is working on you to perfect you and get you to the best point in your life for when you're ready to meet your spouse. You know what I mean? So these are the 4 points that we suggest and we feel like God has put on our hearts to share with you guys on how to get your life right. You know what I'm saying? And get ready for when the ring comes or when the wife comes through.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like we said, like these are things we're going through. We're also in our single season. So these are things that we are also putting into practice. But it's nice to kind of share it. And like when you speak it out loud, it's like, yo, shoot, I do need to cook. Like it kind of is one of those things where it kind of reminds you like we have to actually think because we don't know when God is going to bring our spouse.
Exactly.
He could come tomorrow. She could come tomorrow. And we're going to be like, dang, I should learn to cook. Or, you know, I keep saying cook because God knows I need to work on that. But my point is we don't know when the season will come for marriage.
Exactly.
So the sooner we kind of get these things in play, the sooner God can bring that person because we're now on that track to get ourselves 100%.
Exactly. And we know God is sending us a Boaz, and we know that at the end of the day, if you're listening out, that God's going to send you a Ruth. And if you don't know that kind of reference, get into the word. You know what I'm saying? Get your spirit life right, get your spiritual care done. But God is doing what he's doing best, which is planning and implementing the best route for our lives. You know what I mean? So we all trust on him and trust in him in the season. And we say a prayer for you guys as well, that if you're going through this season, trust and believe, have faith, don't lose the faith that God has something good for you. He always will, and he always has. So with that being said, we will see you guys when we see you.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye.